It's another Friday and another podcast or Q&A session, although not really a Q&A session, it's more just a discussion. And we've set the challenge of trying to get this done in less than 30 minutes because you're swimming.
I am tonight, yes.
Still swimming at 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock swim session.
Yeah, it's the only time we can fit in. Fridays is like a later one in the pool anyway, so it tends to fit in quite well. And I hate training before work. So for me,
Yeah,
I'd rather do it later. Last night I was running at 9 p.m.
it kind of fits in well with this whole idea of kind of routines and
Yeah,
habits, which
100%. It does because I don't like training before work because I get very, very warm
yeah,
when I train and my face is red for hours. So I hate it. And then having to put on a tight work dress and I don't feel comfortable. So
yeah.
I would rather just get it done like after work.
Oh, I've got a
Um, and
streak.
9 p.m. for me isn't the worst because it means I can come in, have dinner as soon as I get home at like 7. That can then digest and then I'm training at 9. So, but yeah, you're right. It's the whole habits and routine thing. This week, my program for the week for my training meant I wasn't running on Tuesday, and I found it really strange that I didn't do a run on Tuesday, and I did not like it because it wasn't normal. So yeah, it's funny how once things become that habit,
When
you
to
stick
break
with
up. Yeah, and I'm the same. I've recently I've had my diary. I'm rejigging my diary at the moment,
them.
and I've still got my non-negotiables. So Sunday morning, Monday morning, they stick. But I've now found that like my Thursdays are busier. So I
Yeah,
normally did one around Thursday lunchtime, and that means that I really struggle to fit a workout in on Thursday, and the same for Friday. Really
yeah.
struggle. So I'm having to kind of rearrange my week and change my routine. So it might well be that I do push pull legs on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which means Monday is leg day. That is
Good way to
not
start the
good.
week.
No, no, it's not. Um, but yeah, routines are key, and I think
Mhm.
that's something that the guys on the Shape Up program are really finding out. Cool. Right. What were the? I've sent you over the topics, and I can't remember. I've just sent them to you, and I can't remember what we
Yes.
were talking about, which is
So
why it's
there were
not
just a
easy.
couple of things we were gonna like go over in terms of um what some people tell you that you have to be doing for your health and actually what might be more optimal
Yeah.
and sort of looking at where you're at already. So, some of the things is like I said, the first one was about sort of like meeting yourself where you're at. Don't try and do like overhaul everything all at once is the thing. Like to build up, it fits in with the whole routines thing, to build that up. Don't try and change your whole life overnight. Don't suddenly decide I'm going to run 6 times a week if you currently don't run, and strength train 3 times and do X, Y, Z, and try and cram everything in. If actually at the moment you're not moving. Same with like your steps. If you're currently on 3,000 steps, don't decide you're going to completely overhaul your life and go for 10,000 a day because it needs to be something that's achievable for you.
Yeah, and I think for some people, overhauling everything and doing it all at once, that works. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a kickstart where you just do everything at once, and that's fine. But I think for most people, and I'm one of these people, if I try and do too much at once, I get overwhelmed and
Hmm.
I just don't do anything at all. And one of the things I see regularly, especially so the gym I work out of most of the time, they're well known in the area for running like 8 week, 12 week boot camps,
Yeah.
fat loss boot camps. Although giving credit to where credit's due, there are quite a few of the trainers there now started to change the mentality of this 8 or 12 week boot camp in inverted commas is really just a kickstart to help you start the habits you need.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few of them are in our sort of mindset in that we're going to look at changing these habits over 8 weeks so that you've got the tools to keep going. If you need that accountability, then you can do another one and so on and so forth, which is kind of that mindset that we're looking at.
Hmm.
We provide the accountability to help them change habits and routines and change the lifestyle. But there's still an awful lot where they think, right, I need to lose a stone in 8 weeks or a stone and a half in 8 weeks. Now, is that possible? Yeah, you can do it, but it's hard. And I think that's the thing that it's a question you've got to ask yourself. If you want to lose, say, a stone in 8 weeks, it's £2, roughly £2 a week. So for most of us, that is creating a deficit of 1,000, at least 1,000 calories per day. Now, if you're if your normal maintenance is 2,000 calories, that means you've got a choice. You're either going to slash your calories to 1,000 calories a day,
Yeah.
which is not very much. You're going to be hungry. Or you cut your calories by say 750, and then you really up like your exercise and your activity, and you really boost your cardio and stuff like that. And either way, it's hard. You
Yeah.
know, it means you've got to be hitting a ton of steps, like 10, 12, 15,000 steps. You're going to have to be training in the gym or doing classes or something like that 4, 5, 6 times a week. And you're going to be doing that on very few calories.
Yeah.
Most people, yeah, you know, in the first week, you might lose a load of water weight because you lost a lot of your carb stores. And then you might lose another sort of 2, 3 pounds in the second week. So you might lose 7 pounds in that first 2 weeks. But then you hit week 3 and it really slows down because your body's going to react. You're going to feel tired. You're going to move less. You're going to burn fewer calories. So you might only lose a pound, and then you lose that motivation because A, your progress slows down. B, it's really hard and you're miserable, and you just hit the sod it button. And then when you do that, you put all the weight back on. So at the end of the 8 weeks, you've lost nothing.
Yeah.
You maybe even gained something. Whereas actually, if you kind of go, right, I'm going to moderately increase my activity, I'm going to decrease my calories by a moderate amount, say 300 to 500 calories. So I'm eating a little bit less. I'm moving a little bit more. I'm losing a pound a week. And in 8 weeks, you could lose 6, 7, 8, maybe even up to 10 pounds, right? That's great
Yeah.
because that's more sustainable and you can keep it going. So you see all these people who go in for these 8 week boot camps, give up after 3 weeks, end up at the same weight or more as when they started because they do too much. Whereas actually the ones who come in and think, do you know what, let's just do a moderate deficit, and they might lose half a pound to a pound a week and lose somewhere between 4 and 10 pounds. They've made progress. They're better off. Yes, they've not lost as much weight as they wanted to, but they've changed their habits. That loss will continue because they'll be able to continue those habits and they will get to where they're going to be. So this is the key thing. It's like, look at what you're doing. If
Yeah.
you're doing 3,000 steps a day, aiming for 10, 12, 15,000, you're going to be walking for an hour to 2 hours extra every day. Let's see if we can increase your steps to 5,000, and then 6, then 7. If you're not eating regular meals, let's just try and get you eating regular meals across the day, maybe boosting your protein a little bit. Let's get you drinking a little bit more water. Let's focus on the basics, right? If you're not exercising at all, maybe just doing one workout a week to start with, and then increasing it to 2, maybe 3. If you're not strength training at all, maybe one strength session a week. Just something
Yeah.
that was going to move you on from where you are. And I think if you focus on that and do it like that, you're going to make more progress. Stop thinking short term for these things. Think about the long term, and it might be that you do 4 to 6 weeks of weight loss. If you're thinking long term and you think, right, I've got a year to do it, you could go, right, 4 to 6 weeks of weight loss. That's quite tough. Then you have a week where you learn to eat at maintenance. Then you do another 4 to 6 weeks, and then you learn to eat. Psychologically, that's a lot easier. You'd be able to sustain that progress for 6, 9, 12 months, and you could lose 2, 3, 4 stone in a year and be where you want to be. So absolutely, I mean, this conversation stems from something that somebody mentioned to me in a consultation call, where they're currently with a personal trainer and they've made no progress in 6 months because they're expected to hit 12,000 steps a day. They're expected to do 4 or 5 workouts a week. They're expected to, to hit a protein target that is too high and hit a calorie target that's too low all at once. And this is a mum, of a daughter who does all the clubs in the world.
Yeah.
She has a full-time job herself and does a part-time job at the weekend. And I'm like, so what was your starting point? And she went, well, I didn't work out. I had a sedentary job. My calories are all over the place. And it's like, right, okay, let's just see where you're at. Let's introduce more sustainable. And just having a conversation with her, she's like, actually, I can achieve that. That's fine. I said, yes, the progress is going to be slower. Well, and that's the key thing. You've got to accept the progress is going to be slower and go from there. But if you're with a trainer who's, setting you all these, promising you all these results and setting you these insanely high sort of goals, just be prepared to find it really, really hard. I'm not going to say you're going to fail, because some people thrive on that challenge.
Yeah.
And if you've got a good trainer who's on you all the time and can be supportive as well as giving you accountability, then yeah,
Yeah.
it might work. But you've got to be a special sort of person, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And
Not
like I
me.
say, it's being realistic with what you can achieve and what you're going to find not easy, because there is going to be some changes, but what you, like you say, what you actually think for you would be achievable, with those changes, rather than
And I
going
think
all in. And
it's when you're goal setting, there's things called smart targets, smart
yeah,
goals. They've got to be specific, measurable, achievable, um, relevant, and then time bound. So
yeah,
you've got to think about all of these. And the key one there is it achievable? Is it achievable in the time that you've set?
yeah,
Is it relevant to what you want to do? And are you specific? Be really specific about it. But yeah, it's tough. Like, people go, I just want to be fitter. How do you measure that? What does that look like to you? How are you going to measure it? Is that a target achievable? If you've got somebody who's currently unable to walk 1,500 meters,
yeah,
and they want to do a marathon in the next 5 weeks, it's probably not achievable.
yeah,
But if you say, actually, in the next 12 months, I want to lose enough weight so that I could walk a marathon, great.
yeah,
That's the sort of thing. So yeah, meet yourself where you're at with your goals, and with what you're doing in your actions as well.
yeah, definitely. And then the next one was just around some of the myths surrounding like diet drinks.
Yeah.
It's like your Pepsi Max, Coke Zeros, that kind of
Yeah,
sugar-free drinks.
this one's quite a common one. I mean, I drink, full transparency. I will drink Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, any of the zero drinks. I drink them, not loads. I might have a can, maybe two a day. Yeah,
Yeah.
on average. Some days I go without, some days I might have two. That's absolutely fine. And there's a lot of, and I'm not necessarily saying that people should drink this. If people are listening to this and going, oh God, he's telling people that you should be drinking it. But the truth around it is that they are perfectly fine. These, sugar-free ones, they are basically 0 calorie, or you might have 1 or 2 calories in a can. They cannot stop your fat loss. They're not going to trigger insulin spikes. The sweeteners are absolutely, they're fine. There's all these myths around them. And if you've got somebody telling you that you should be avoiding them because they're going to slow your progress, and because they are going to, for whatever reason, cancer causing sweeteners, they trick your body into thinking that they're sugar, so your insulin spikes and you store fat. All of that is a complete myth. They've basically taken some slight mechanisms and then rolled with it. What the evidence actually shows is, one, these things. Oh, and the fact that some of the diet cokes or whatever are dehydrating. One, they're more hydrating than water. Right, that surprises a lot of people. Coke Zero and Coke actually hydrate the body better than just straight pure water. The second thing is, if the sweeteners are to have any ill effects, you've got to consume like hundreds of cans every single day,
Mm-hmm.
or days and days and days and days, for months on end. It's not going to affect you. I can't remember the exact number. They did work it out. The sweetener thing with the insulin, no, it doesn't spike your insulin. And the evidence suggests that people, and they did a study on this recently, that people who have sugar-free soft drinks actually lose, and it doesn't cause more weight loss, but it actually showed that the people who had sugar-free soft drinks, compared to a group of people who just drank water, lost more weight. Go figure.
Yeah.
It actually and it's not that they're negative calories or anything like that. It's nothing magic. I think the main thing was, and the suggestion by the researchers was, that it just helped them adhere to a calorie deficit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like, I think there was someone that made the comment of saying, it curbs that sweet craving for them, it satisfies that sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And it's that thing, isn't it? It's if it's making the adherence better because they feel like they're still having something sweet, but they're not,
Yeah.
you
You
know
know, not reaching for a chocolate bar, you're going to have a
yeah.
Diet Coke instead. That's absolutely fine. And I had a client, I talked about it with a client today actually, and she said, on a Friday night, she's trying to reduce her alcohol intake. And she
Mhm.
said, on a Friday night, instead of reaching for a glass of wine, she has a can of Coke Zero. She says,
Yeah.
and that's just because it's not water, it's something different. And that is enough for her. And it's anything that can help you sort of move in the direction you want to go. So absolutely, if it helps you, keep having them. I'm not
Mhm.
saying if you don't drink them, add them into your diet. You don't need to
You don't
do that.
need to, yeah, but if you're currently drinking cans or bottles, of full of sugar,
Yeah,
fizzy drinks, if you can swap them for the 0 calorie, even that will make a difference to your calorie intake and
that
you
was it was one of my first clients, one of the easiest changes and that helped them make progress.
mm,
So they were drinking 4 cans of Coke a day. And that's around about 600, it's about 550, 600 calories total. And we
yeah,
switched her to Coke Zero straight away. And she was losing a pound a week just with that
yeah,
one switch straight
yeah,
away.
yeah,
And she didn't realize, and I mean, I know most people do, but she honestly didn't realize how many calories were in that in those cans of Coke. It's 140 calories in a normal size can of Coke.
yeah,
Um, and she didn't realize it. And we just switched it, and straight away the weight starts dropping. Then once it slowed down, we added other changes in. But it's just those little bits, I mean, that help.
yeah,
Um, but it's the same with it. There's lots of other things and myths around food. I mean, it's not just Diet Coke. People sort of say any sort of sweetened stuff, and the myths around processed food as well. You, if you are demonizing foods, whether it be like your sugar-free soft drinks, whether it be processed foods, whether it be whatever, demonizing certain foods is just going to foster a negative relationship with food, which is going to lead to disordered eating behavior.
mm,
One of the biggest problems is probably the leading mental health problem, and one of the biggest mental health problems in this country certainly is eating disorders, whether people are suffering with anorexia, binge eating disorder, bulimia, all of these things. They are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, mental health issues that we've got. And mental health is the second biggest killer in the UK.
yeah,
And we've got to try and stop demonizing foods because it's just contributing to it.
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, if anybody tells you not to eat a food, don't listen to them, unless they can give you good. If they're telling you to reduce some foods,
Yes,
absolutely,
that's different. Yeah,
that's different. If you're eating a 1 kilo bar of chocolate every day and they're saying, well, let's see if we can reduce it down to a strip of chocolate, that, fair enough. But if they're saying, no, you cannot have Diet Coke or soft drinks full stop and all you can drink is water, or don't have squashes and all you can drink is water, it's like saying don't eat carbs. You're
yeah,
just removing all joy from life.
yeah. It's not fun, is it?
No, not fun at all. So yeah, I'd see that as a red flag for trainers. To be fair, if anybody is starting to tell you like, don't eat this, eat this, then it's a bit of a red flag. And I think you also have to look at the qualifications, because no personal trainer or coach should really be giving you specific kind of advice isn't quite the right word, but they should not be giving you specific instructions around certain foods because they're not qualified.
Yeah,
If you want some specific advice on nutrition, you know, they need to be having done something like that, or a nutrition qualification, nutrition degree, dietetics degree. They're the only people who are kind of qualified to give you guidance around your food and what you should be eating, and suggest kind of meal plans and things like that. And we've said before, I would definitely not give, or I prefer not to give people meal plans because it's too restrictive. I would
yeah.
much rather look at what they're currently doing and then change things. Oh, that's me. 2 seconds. Uh, that is my other half, who's currently in Ibiza. And I've just cancelled the call.
Whoops.
She's going to message me going, oh, she will be probably a little bit tipsy. That's interesting. What was the last thing we were going to go through? I can't remember now.
Coaching red flags, so leads in quite nicely.
Does lead in quite nicely, yeah. Go on then. Have you? I know you were a client of mine. This is not you giving you the opportunity to
Criticize well.
No, you can do if you want. But if you were looking for a coach, or if you've ever had another coach, what kind of alarm bells would you look for?
So yeah, funnily enough, when I was looking a few years ago, I was very I guess not lucky, because I did my own research, but when I decided to start working with a coach, I had already done my like initial qualifications in nutrition. So I'd already started exploring that and learning everything I could in the industry from people that are very well thought of. So Martin McDonald being one of them, Ben Carpenter, like a lot of good PTs, James Smith, Darren Cartel, all of those that you see a lot on social media, and understood that, you know, that's sort of what they were saying is everything we've said there, you know, reducing, meeting yourself where you're at, not cutting anything out, you know, making things achievable for you. So when I was looking for a coach, that was, I guess, one thing that I really knew I wanted, which is why I started working with Will, because everything sort of aligned with what I'd learned and what I had then realized would work. Coaching red flags for me, which I did come across, which was one of the reasons I started studying nutrition in the first place, which is still a little bit awkward to talk about, is anyone that's trying to sell you on any kind of pyramid scheme in worlds of juice cleanses, shakes, meal replacement, all of those things. If they are pushing any of those products and saying you need to buy this and spend all this money with me to achieve your goals, absolute massive red flag. Like just walk away. They like none of them, or the majority of them, will not have any kind of nutrition training or background. Like they actually do not have a clue, or personal training, anything like that. They are in no position to be giving you any kind of diet advice whatsoever. But they will still do it.
And just sorry to interrupt, but actually, I mean, the Mac Nutrition, the collective, if you are an MNU certified nutritionist and you start selling those, they will remove your certification.
And they have done it. They have.
So
that should tell you everything that you need to know. So to me, that is an instant red flag.
Yeah.
Anyone like you're saying it's telling you have to cut out, that you know, promises you these really quick results, that all of that kind of thing. And I think like any coaches that aren't willing to work with you. So anyone that's sort of just, you sign up to the program, you're given like a set program instantly almost, so you know it's not personalized to you, and you're just expected to get on with it. You can't check in with them, there's no follow-ups, there's no interaction. To me, that would be another red flag from there.
I think, yeah, you've hit loads of things there. There are loads.
All the bad things. Can you tell I filtered?
Yeah, it's the lack of personalization. You know, this is why, like mass produce schemes, this is why we kind of we only work with a small number of people in a group, and we tailor every single program that the guys on our group are all individual. You know, we write the program to be individual and given to them, so it meets their needs. So they tell us whether they're injured, it meets their equipment, so you know, and access to equipment. So if they go to a gym and we put an exercise in there and they're going, we haven't got that machine, then we change it, you know, so it meets them. And it is work, it's time intensive, which means we only work with a small number of people. But if you get people giving cookie cutter programs, it's, you know, you can have 10 people doing the same workout, eating the same calories, and doing the same routines, and you will get 10 different lots of results.
Yeah,
you've got to work individually. I think that's a big one, and it's why some of the big ones, I'm not going to mention names, but some of the most famous kind of coaching programs that we've got in the UK today, particularly ones that took off during lockdown, there was a 95% dropout rate.
Yeah.
And it's because it was like, right, there you go. And that ticked all the boxes there. So it was cookie cutter. Everybody got the same thing. Even the nutrition stuff, although yes, you were kind of right, that's your weight, these are your calories. So it was kind of tailored a little bit.
It was just calculated through a mass,
Yeah,
you know.
it
And
basically they set the same meals and they just set it into a program that then worked out how much of each food you were given. That was it.
I've done one of them before, and it was very much the focus on, this is what you need to be eating every day. Like, you need to eat one of this meal, like 2 from this meal section, 1 from this, have this snack, all of this. This is your food. Here's all your numbers, and that's what you have to eat.
Yeah.
And some of these meal portions were ridiculous. Like, they were just so big.
Yeah.
So big. And there was one of them, and I just remember sitting there thinking, oh my God, I don't think I can eat all this food. And I was then ignoring my hunger cues because I had to eat it.
Yeah.
And it'd be a case of, I was like, I can't finish my lunch. I'll come back to it later.
Yeah,
Oh God, I've still got to have dinner and a snack. And you just end up ignoring what your body's telling you because this program's saying you have to do this to look like that.
And this is where one of the things that then coaches like that then say is that you didn't get the results because you didn't do what we told you. And you will have people who may well be doing everything that coach is telling them, but they're not, they're not getting the results. And that's because there's a lack of personalization there. You've got to meet that person where they're at. And it could be for whatever reason, the coach could, if they had a conversation with the coach might go, actually, no, oh, you've got an underactive thyroid. We didn't know that. So therefore things need to change. Or, oh, actually, you're not quite doing the workouts as we want you to. So try this instead. Or actually, you're not tracking everything. You're missing a couple of things here. But you need to have that conversation. And when you've got hundreds of people doing the same program,
you can't
do that. You
No.
can't. And for some people, again, yeah, it can work, but the way it works for these mass-produced programs is they just slash your calories and make you work really hard. And we go back to what we were saying right back at the beginning. It's really sustainable.
I mean, that wasn't even like, some people actually sat and put some of the meals through, like MyFitnessPal, for example, and they were like, I don't actually understand. Like they very much knew that it was energy balance, and then they'd put comments in the support groups and say, like, I've just put this meal in, like, does this sound right? Do you think something hasn't been worked out right? And people like, it's a myth, you need to eat that, you're burning all of that. Like, and it's like, no, it's some of it. And then you putting these meals together from this program, and all of them are like there was so much meal prep as well. The amount of washing up. I was still living at home at the time. My dad was ready to murder me, but it was just so much. And like, I did not enjoy life, I will say. And I was one of those ones that dropped out because I did the first like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Did quite well, saw really good results. Did the second where things changed slightly and my body just did not, I felt so ill.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't put myself through that again for another 4 weeks. Like I physically can't. Like, I felt so ill. I was bloated. I'd actually gained weight. Like, my measurements were off. And it's because of like, it really messed my digestive system because of how much the food changed and all of these things. And so it wasn't personalized. And like you say, if you had a coach or you had someone you could message and be like, this is what's happening, you can work with it, you can change it. But the en masse ones just don't. No. They don't do it. There's some other programs that do it really well where they work with big groups. It's all done through an app.
Yeah.
But you very much put your details in. Can you tell I've done a few? Your details in, your equipment. So this was one that I did during lockdown before I started working with Will. So it was home workouts all the time. What equipment you've got, what your goals are, what your starting point is, and they literally gave you your calorie target, planned your workouts based on your goals, and you could message them 24 hours a day through the app because they had coaches based all over the world. Yeah. So that one en masse actually is still run quite differently. So I'd still say a good program. And it just depends on what accountability you need as to what will work best for you. Like, for some people, online coaching won't work because they need that face-to-face accountability. But that's where you've really got to look at who you're working with and what they're telling you.
Yeah. And I think accountability, it's the amount of accountability you need that you need to look at. And the other thing is, you know, you need to look at, I know that the mass ones, people go for them because they seem cheaper.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about, like, is it a false economy? You know, you could spend 100 quid, which is what it was. It was £99 for that 12-week program, I think it was. You could spend 99 quid for that 12-week program, but it didn't work. So you then
Mhm.
go find another one and spend another 99 quid. Didn't
Yeah.
work. You'd be going through it again and again and again. And you know, in a year, you could spend what, 400, £500 on some things, on things that don't work. Or you could pay a little bit more for a little bit more personalized approach,
Mhm.
maybe 150, 200 quid for 3 or 4 months, that actually really gets you somewhere and gets you
Yeah.
started. Yes, it's more expensive to start with, but in the long run, you're going to get the results. So, you know, you might do that twice and spend the same amount of money,
Mm.
but get somewhere, rather than spending a year treading water and actually not doing anything. So really kind of think about the value that you put. And I think this is a serious comment that people need to kind of ask themselves when they're starting on any sort of health and fitness journey. Yeah, this is it, it can be expensive,
Yeah.
but if you view it as just an expense and not an investment,
Yeah.
you know, that's the way you've got to look at it. You know, we invest in other things. We might invest in stuff for the house to make the house look nice. We might invest in a nice car. We might, but spending money on that and not on yourself, I think, is twisted.
Yeah.
You know, and actually think about it. I pay for a coach. I have a coach, and I pay for a coach to keep me accountable.
Yeah.
And I think most coaches, most good coaches, will have a coach.
Yeah.
And most of the guys that I work with in the gym, they're all coached by other people as well.
Mhm.
And it's not because they want to lose weight. It's not for me. My accountability is keeping me going in terms of looking after my health and fitness.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm a workaholic. I'd throw in all work, all hours of the day into work. And he's the one that kind of goes, hang on a minute, you know, have you trained this week? Have you eaten well this week?
Yeah.
Are you sleeping this week? And that's why I pay for a coach, because he holds me accountable. And
Mhm.
I see it as one of the best investments. I've done it 7, 8 years now, been with the same coach for 7 or 8 years. And it's probably one of the best investments I've ever made.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and I've spent thousands on it. I'm not going to lie, I have spent thousands, but it's gotten to it's gotten me to where I am now, in a much better place in terms of physical and fitness and health,
Mhm.
and also business.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think there's loads of red flags there. I mean, if they're asking you to do stuff that seems impossible, maybe a bit of a strong word, but a little bit unachievable, and they're not flexible,
Yes.
no, that's a red flag.
Walk away. Find someone else. Yeah.
If they're selling you a product that's use, absolute red flag. If they're telling you to eat in a certain way and not meeting you where you're at, that's a red flag. You know, I've had one a client who's in the past has their last coach was trying to turn them vegan, and they didn't want to turn vegan. Nothing wrong with veganism, but that was, you know, that's a red flag. Anybody who tells you that you shouldn't be eating certain foods is a red flag.
Yeah.
And anybody who is unwilling to compromise, yeah,
Yeah.
loads and loads. There's lots of good coaches out there, though. There really are.
There
And you
is. Yeah.
mentioned some good names there. So what was it? Martin McDonald.
Yeah. James Smith, Ben Carpenter, Darren Cartel.
Yeah.
They're
Uh,
all very good.
there's a guy
There's
I follow,
loads of them.
James Capola, as well. He's really good. There's lots. If you
Mm.
go and if you start following some of those people, they'll then start
You'll
following.
see. Sohee Lee. Yeah, she's another
Sophie
one.
Lee, Dr. Adrian Chavez is another
Yeah.
one. Dr. Nadolski, he's another one.
Yes.
There's loads of really good nutrition people out there as well. Just have a look, and if you're following people who's telling you to do a certain workout, that's another one. Do this workout for a flat stomach. Unfollow them straight away.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I said, there's so many good coaches out there as well. It's not to say they're all bad, but it's just certain things to look out for to know that you are getting a good coach essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. 35 minutes.
Not bad, not bad.
That's not too bad. Right. you can go swimming now then, and I am going to go and have some tea and spend some time with my boys and give
Yeah.
Rosie a ring back before she loses her temper with me.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. All right, guys, that is us for another week. We will catch you again soon. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.